Hello, welcome back to Blender Sushi Live Noding. In this episode, we're gonna take a look again at the Python VPY collections. I started to get into Python a little bit deeper just by looking at the collections and kind of try to compare it with the node-based system like Sverchok and kind of try to make sense on both of the subject. So the idea here is that let's say we have like a mesh like this, like a grid mesh, and it's made of a bunch of polygons like this. And this guy actually have two material, the blue one and the red one. And I just changed it. So okay, the blue one and the red one. So we have two materials, and we kind of want to kind of color the polygon face using these two materials. If you were to do it using Python, maybe the script looks something like this. This is one way to do it. Basically, with this script, we are again using the collection thing that we learned the other day. And in this case, I'm using this mesh polygons dot items. That's actually with this guy right here, we can access each and every polygon face from the mesh. And what's happening next is really I'm using modulo and to get like to select the odd number and the even number of the polygon face and make the selections face select to true, and then using some BPY ops and etc. to get to the polygon, and then assigning the active material either 0 or 1. So we can also do it like if you have like a multiple additional material. Let's say I'm adding one more material and just give it like a yellow color. Maybe I want to use that yellow color. I can just change the script and then it's supposed to work. Oh, okay. Python script failed. Let's take a look where did I did wrong. Mesh has no active vertices or edge or face. Well, okay. Maybe I made a mistake with the selection or something. Let's try again. I should delete everything and start with just a grid. And I'm gonna have two material, yellow material and another one, red color. Let's see if this script actually works properly. So based on the selected, based on active objects, just do all this, and then okay, the script seems to be working. Okay, if I'm using another material, blue color, run script seems to fail. Oh yeah, so I think this script is not really perfect. Anyhow, I made some kind of transitions and turn it into Sverchok setup, which looking a little bit like this. So in here, instead of using BPY operations, I really dig into the BPY data, and I'm using this material index. So that's actually a little bit better workflow. Let's try this. If we get to the polygon data, let's try that. So for this guy, for example, what's our object? BPY data objects, and our object is the grid. So I'm just gonna put this inside a variable, and this variable I can access the polygon, I believe. polygons, and I can get to the collections. Okay, so this is all the polygon data, and let's name this my poly, and my polygon 01 should give us that guy. That's the index and the polygon data access. We can actually go to the material index, and I can actually change it that way. So you see, just now I changed the material index from 0 to 1, and I can actually access the other polygon and make a adjustment. So that's, I think, a little bit better than actually using this operations way. We can of course modify the BPY, the Python codes, to use this material index instead of using this ops. So if you look at there will be like a lot of example Python script for Blender that's using a lot of ops. That's not always a good way. It's actually better to actually kind of directly attacking the data and modify it that way. So I found it to be a little bit easier as well to transfer that knowledge into Sverchok. So for example, if I just change this to change the material index of polygon of index 5, just now you see this guy suddenly become blue, and so now it's suddenly becoming pretty clear what's actually going on. So with this grid we have around 81, I think we have 81 polygon face. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9 by 9, 81 polygon face, and based on the index, as you can see here, we can really just do this manually one by one if you like, or say this one. Index number 66 changes to blue, and this guy should update, I believe. Let's try it on number 12. Change the index to 2. This guy should update. Doesn't seem to be doing it. Oh well. But anyway, I'm transferring this material index stuff into Sverchok, and it looks something like this. Okay, now we are in the Sverchok environment. It's all nodes. So basically what I did here, I have 4 meshes, and I'm using object ID selector. I get all the objects of type mesh, and based on this guy, I'm really getting the collections of data of the polygons of each object. And after I do that, what we can have a look here with the stethoscope. This we already have access to each polygon face of these 4 objects, so that's pretty cool. The next thing we need to do is really just to use this material index, the property of each polygon face, and just change the value. For example, you can use a random number. If I'm using random number between 0 and 1, we can get this result very quickly. Randomize, simply giving a random material, because these objects, providing they already have like the material 1, 2, 3, I can actually say, okay, the material, we have 3 materials, so the index should go between 0 and 2. Now we have 3 materials kind of being randomized for each polygon of the objects. So yeah, that's really cool. This Suzanne is a bit higher in resolutions, that's why. Okay, so that seems to work. And if you want to have like even and odd number, you know, like a checker pattern, we can use a modulo again, and we can get this result. By the way, if you look at this Suzanne, even and odd number, Suzanne is actually, I think this side is actually just mirror of this side. So it's this half, one half is all even number, the other one is all odd number. If you subdivide it, you get this kind of pattern. So pattern is really very, very interesting. This guy, the torus, with this amount of polygon face, you get this stripe. But the grid, you get a checker pattern properly. Suzanne, okay, Suzanne, really you can just shuffle, maybe a list shuffle or a list shift the data, you might get a checker pattern, something that's more like a checker pattern. If you like that, don't worry about that too much. There's one more thing that I can that we can do here. It's really instead of random number, instead of modulo and checker pattern, we can also look get the polygon center, the center of polygons of each polygon mesh, and then we can use the vector noise trick. We have learned this a couple of times, and now we're kind of like randomizing these three materials being applied into each polygon face, and that's kind of influenced by the noise. This is actually pretty complicated. If you were to do it using Python scripting, it won't be as clear cut as this, but of course it's kind of like a different, it's actually like the same logic. Now basically for each polygon face we are giving the index between 0 and 2 because we have 3 materials in this case. So 0, 1, 2, and the index is based on the noise. So there's this noise, and the noise actually being controlled here in Sverchok, and sometimes you get like a black because maybe the noise get a little bit too high. See, if you're getting black, that means it goes over the index value. But here I'm using Voronoi, and I can change it to cell or like a Perlin, and you can see how the noise affecting the application or how it's assigning the materials into the polygon face. So there's like some kind of a 3D spatial information that's being piped down from here, and it's influencing the assignment of the material. So I found this kind of interesting. Even though these days we probably just gonna be using cycles a lot, but I think Blender render and then this kind of material slot indexing still kind of valid for a lot of purpose. Like I'm making like Apple iOS apps at the moment, and it's dealing with materials a lot, and so I kind of maybe at some point I want to randomize the material assignment into the polygon face, and I want to do it procedurally. This is how I might do it. So yeah, I think this is a pretty interesting workflow I found. So from originally, so we look at the way you might do it using Python, using ops, or you can also just access the attributes of the polygon directly. It's somehow not updating. I don't know why. Maybe I made a change. And then now we can actually do it using Sverchok. The cool thing about this setup is that if we bring in like a new mesh and you just update it, you need to have the material first of all. So I'm gonna select this guy and select this guy, Control L, make a link material data. We can right away get the result. I think random number 1 is the most obvious. So like that. It's pretty cool. You can get like a text, for example. Actually, text text doesn't quite work, but you can always use remesh, and you can bring text as a mesh objects. I'm not gonna do text, but other objects will work, like cylinder. Again, select this object, select this guy, Control L, get the material. So this guy now have the material slot just like the others. Just update it, and you get this randomizations of materials assignment into the Polygon Face. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this live coding. Hopefully you find this useful, and let me know what you think. If you have any feedbacks or suggestion or question, let me know, and I'll try to answer it. Thanks again for tuning in. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye.